What's up, everybody? Nicholas Kuzmich here from nicholaskuzmich.com, and in this episode of Accelerated Results, I want to talk about what should my ad budget be. I gotta say, there isn't a day that goes by where someone doesn't reach out to me and says, hey, look, Nick, I'm trying to run my campaign, but really, what should my ad budget be? So in this video, that's exactly what we're gonna discuss. And by the way, let me let you in on a little hint. It's also, I'm going to talk about why that's probably the wrong question you're asking and how to ask the right question instead. Hey, before we begin, if you are running a high-ticket business, right? Whether you're in the service businesses, whether you have a professional service company, a coaching, consulting, some sort of high-ticket mastermind or something like that, and you're frankly looking for more leads without the overwhelm of trying to apply 101 different marketing strategies into your business, hey, I'd love to personally have a conversation with you to show you how I can help you get accelerated results without doing really any much more work, but being smarter and more intelligent about the work that you're doing. If that's of interest to you, go to workwithnick.com. Again, workwithnick.com, N-I-C. We can have a conversation. We can talk about how we can do just that. So let's get right to the content. The question is, what should my ad budget be? Let me get right up in front and saying, probably the wrong question to be asking. And here's why. Because your ad budget should be a direct relation to how well your sales process is working, right? Because here's kind of the question I'd flip back at you, and that is, hey, if you're making $3 for every dollar you spend, what do you want your ad budget to be, right? And most people say, well, unlimited then. Yes, of course. But the question then falls back into, how do we ensure that our campaigns are in fact ROI or ROAS positive so that our budgets could technically be unlimited rather than thinking about our ad budget being a loss? So the question that I really want to ask is this. It's not, what should my ad budget be? But the question really should be, what is my magic metric? Now that's my fancy terminology for calling something your KPI, right? What is your major KPI that you are tracking for your ad campaigns? And that's going to give you a better idea of what your budget should be, right? Now, you might be asking, and I've addressed this in a previous episode, but you might be asking, what is my magic metric? So I want to briefly go over that real quick so you have that as a foundation so that when you move forward in all of your ad campaigns, you know exactly what you need to be looking for. By the way, again, if you're looking for me to kind of help you personally with your business, look, I know what it's like to be kind of on your own, trying to figure this out, take courses, read books, attend conferences, not bad things at all, but to just be overwhelmed with what is my next step or what should I focus on for the next 30 days? Look, if you want someone to build that napkin blueprint for you, I'd love to be that person. Go to workwithnick.com. I'll show you how to do just that. So the question then becomes is, what is my magic metric? Now, if you're in my space, we like to use Facebook for lead generation, right? Lead generation is kind of my preferred way of using Facebook. Now, of course, that's on the top of the funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Of course, we're going to use it to drive people to content and drive people to sale. But first and foremost, how do you figure out your magic metric? You want to ask yourself a couple of questions. First question is, what is the total number of leads that you have generated in the last 30 days, right? Now, I like to use 30 days because we're not talking lifetime value of leads, although that's a good number to know. We're not talking about way down the road. I'm going to assume that if someone becomes a lead sometime within the first 30 days of becoming a lead, you're going to make an offer to them and you're going to give them the opportunity to transact with you. And no matter how long or short your sales cycle is, typically some sort of action should happen within the first 30 days. So the first question you're saying is, what is the total number of leads that I've generated in the last 30 days, right? Should be very simple. You go to your CRM, you look at your tracking, whatever you're using to generate this data, and you're going to ask that question. The second question then, what is the total revenue generated from those leads specifically, right? So this way, once you know the revenue generated from the leads, you're going to get a sense of your 30-day VPL. And this is very important to me because this is one of the questions that I ask almost everybody that I work with before working with them. It's, what's your 30-day VPL or your value per lead? And you figure that out simply by taking the total number of leads you've generated over the last 30 days. You divide that by the total revenue generated, and it gives you a sense. So let's just kind of run some fake numbers here. Let's say you generated $1,000 from 100 leads. That gives you a total 30-day value per lead. This is the value or the revenue generated from those leads of $10. Right? So you generated $1,000, you did it from 100 leads. That gives us a very easy round numbers to work with, a $10 value per lead, right? Now your next question then simply comes of my value per lead. So if I know that a lead on average, if all things are considered equal, and they're not always considered equal, but on average, if we generate 100 leads, we generate $1,000 from those leads. And if we generate $1,000 from those 100 leads, on average, over an extended period of time, we realize that our value per lead is $10. So the question then in answering what is my magic metric, then ask what percentage of this value are you willing to spend to get your next lead? Simple as that. And that number could change for a variety of people, right? Some people would say, I'm willing to spend 50% of that, so they'll get a $5 magic metric. Some people will say I'll spend 75%. Some people will say I'll spend 100% of that. The number is irrelevant. It's what works for you in terms of what you're willing to spend of your value per lead to capture the next lead. Once you know that, then the ad game becomes easy. Okay, now before we continue, again, if you'd like me to kind of help sort this out for you, and more importantly, if you want me to increase and help you increase your value per lead, and we do this through a variety of ways, of course, bumps, upsells, cross-sells, great offers, etc., etc. But if you're like, I don't really know my value per lead, or I want to increase my value per lead, and you want me to build out a napkin plan on how you can do that over the next 30 days, simply go to workwithnick.com, workwithnic.com, fill out the information there. Happy to get on a call with you, see how we can strategize and make that a reality for you, right? So once you know now, in my opinion, the most important number of when you're running ads, which is your magic metric, right? Your KPI, the amount you're willing to spend as you're running ads to capture your next lead. Well, now everything is super simple. The question isn't what should my ad budget be? The question is, am I hitting my magic metric? And if the answer is yes, I'm hitting my magic metric, then you increase your budget, right? You can allocate more budget to that. If it's no, I'm not hitting my magic metric, then you don't spend on that particular ad set or that campaign. So the point here is this is how to always win when you're running ads. It's knowing your magic metric, and then once you know your magic metric, it's ensuring that you only play within those rules. And that way, every dollar you spend should theoretically return more than $1 back. Now, of course, there's some up months and some down months and all that. But the point here is once you know this, it makes things a win for you. So the point here then question is that I get is, well, what if I don't have any leads yet? And if I don't have leads, what if I don't know the value of leads? What if this is my first time running this new campaign and I have to create my magic metric? Then the question becomes, what should my ad budget be in that case? And in that case, I have a simple answer. You may or may not like it, but the simple answer is this. Your budget should be whatever you are willing to lose to buy data that first month. See, it's my personal belief that the only month you should ever lose on any campaign is your first month, because that is the month you're paying your tuition to the data school, if you will. This is where you are essentially buying the data so you could find your magic metric. And once you find it, technically, again, most campaigns moving forward should always be a positive ROI. So the question on what should my ad budget be in my first month if I'm figuring things out is whatever you're willing to lose. And let me just come out straight up right out of the gates and clear this up once and for all, friends. If you are running ads and it's your first time running a particular campaign for a particular product or a particular offer, you will most likely lose and not be ROI positive, right? If you are ROI positive in our industry, we call that a miracle. Right? But the reality is it's testing, it's optimization, it's understanding the data and then working with the data to get even better results. And that's really what this comes down to, right? As advertisers and entrepreneurs, all we're doing is we're finding out the data and then we're working within the data, right? And that's where we get kind of the results that we're looking for. So sum this whole thing up. What should my ad budget be? Wrong question. You should be asking instead, what is my magic metric? This is how you find your magic metric, is understanding your 30-day value per lead and then figuring out what percentage of that value you want to spend to get the next lead. But If you don't know these answers, then what should my ad budget be? Whatever you are comfortable in losing your first month, because your first month most likely will be a loss, but you don't see it as a loss. You see it as an opportunity to buy data so that month 2 and beyond all become winners. Now, if you need actual stats, here's what I like to say. I like to drive at least 1,000 clicks to a particular page to be able to see whether it's a winner or a loser, right? So whatever it takes to drive 1,000 clicks to get hopefully a couple hundred leads, 300, 400 leads, to put them through the funnel to see that process, that's probably good enough. So whatever it's going to cost you to generate 1,000-ish clicks to get a few hundred leads to put them through your system is a good starting point to start generating some data so you can make decisions like this. Hey, if you like this kind of information, I love teaching it. Make sure you share this with someone who could really benefit from it, right? Click the like, share, whatever button it is there that's available to you. Get it to somebody who needs it so they can stop losing and start winning. And hey, like I said, if you're serious about understanding this so that you can increase your value per lead, so you can increase your revenue without necessarily doing more work, but doing smarter work, go to workwithnick.com. Again, workwithnic.com. Let's have a conversation about how I can personally help you, and we'll talk through those options. That's it for me, guys. This is the end of this episode of Accelerated Results. If you have any questions or need anything, you know how to reach me. I do look forward to seeing you on the next episode. All the best, and we'll talk real soon.